So this week's Insta Live is going to feature. I'm going to be speaking to a good friend of mine again. But this week it's an incredible musician and a devilishly handsome man, Soumik Datta. Hey Manol, how are you? Foundation of Museums as well. Nice to see you. Excellent. That's kind of a cool Instagram profile. But yeah, so Soumik Datta is a wonderful musician. We first met bizarrely around about 16 years ago. I was just working this out, sort of the timelines for this chat. We met in 2004. It's insane. Absolutely nuts. Hi, Isuru. And so, yeah, it's been like 16 years and we kind of kept crossing paths at various parties and gigs. And he's always been someone that's been very calm and very measured, I think, or just very, I don't know, good. I think he's a good boy for sure, which is the exact opposite to me. This devilish kind of approach that I enjoy. Hi, Karthik. Hi, Van Gogh. How are you? Van Gogh Mag. Yeah. Hi, handsome indeed. Thank you very much. Mogara, hi. Hi, Kakul. Nice of you to join us. Nice of you to join me. Anyway, yeah, thanks for joining me. But yeah, so Soumik is, like I said, incredibly devilishly handsome, but angelic in behaviour. That's the one, and here he is. Haha. I will request him to join me. Let's see if this works. Hi, Nick, sir. How's it going? Hey, Soumik, how are you?
Hey, how's it
Holy
going?
shit, dude, you look like a film director.
Yeah, because, well, that's what Rishi Sunak said. We've got to adapt, right?
Oh, fuck.
Right. So I was like, how can I adapt now from being a musician to something else that I sort of kind of know?
Right.
But yeah, I'm still not going to make any money now. So,
Well, this is true. I mean, the creative arts are just fucked, aren't they? We've all got to retrain as something. I might start being a
right.
plumber or something.
Yeah.
But no, dude, do you remember? Have you seen? Fuck, what's the film called? Oh man, it's got Jim Carrey and he's living in this bubble world, and he's not
Truman,
aware.
Truman Show.
Truman Show. You look like the creator of that Truman Show.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. It's the hat.
It is the hat and the glasses.
Okay.
That's what it is. That's why I look like a director. But yeah, dude, I was just thinking, right? So I was thinking back to when we first met, and it was that gig we did. And do you remember what company it was for?
No. What was it
Okay,
for?
it was when Jet Airways went international.
Went international.
As
Wow.
in, like, they started doing international flights, and you and me played the opening thing for that.
We did.
Yeah,
Where?
it was at I think I want to say Bombay Brasserie in West London.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we were kids. We were just like really. Do you remember that whole show? It was the first time that I used my software. It's the first time I started integrating my laptop in my DJ sets and stuff.
Oh my God. And that's like literally an era ago because Jet is now closed.
Yeah, exactly.
My God.
That's nuts, right? And I remember you and I ended up jamming, and it was just we did something that was pretty good. No, that was kind of cool. But I just remember how young we were, and that whole it was full of suits. I mean, it was just a really weird, real experience. But it's such a mad sort of beginning to our sort of interactions.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's full of suits. Maybe that's why I like blocked out half of it. Like,
Yeah, it's Suru in the comments is like, yeah, it's completely blocked out that memory. And then, yeah, of course, like our paths have crossed. And I realized this as well. Almost every one of the parties we've crossed paths at have been Anushka's.
yeah, yeah. Well, she does have some pretty epic parties.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we were lucky to be. It was good. It's good.
Yeah, man. Totally. But I was just thinking about this as well. Is that as a Sarod player, which is obviously your weapon of choice, there aren't that many contemporary Sarod players out there. You're like an island on your own.
Yeah. I don't know how I'd say that.
Because I mean, like, you've got other sitar players, you've got other tabla players, you've got people that sort of have their disciplines in more well-known instruments. But I think with you, you've got this kind of unique presence with a unique instrument.
I try to um, just put bring my most honest version of myself through the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, that is a mix of the heritage that I come from and the tradition and the fact that I've learned proper Indian classical music under one of the great legends, Pandit Buddhadev Dasgupta.
Yeah.
Learned from him in Calcutta. So I got the real deal, you know.
Mm.
But then there was this other sort of side, which was, you know, growing up in London, and I didn't have that many friends who were into Indian classical music. And so naturally, I got into the things that they were into. And somehow, years down the line, those fibers and networks kind of crossed the brain. And I've ended up sort of just, yeah, like just being honest about what I want to say through music. And I'm really lucky that the sarod is an instrument that allows me to do that.
Mm.
Yeah, so, you know, but at the same time, there are so many sarod players, sitar players, lot of instrumentalists who, you know, it's not their thing to do fusion, or it's not their thing to try and create music traditions.
Yeah.
But it's their thing to really dig deep into the roots of Indian classical and still keep it fresh.
Yeah.
And I'm really inspired by there's like this new generation of players coming out of India, and how their tradition, that they bring a sense of youth movement to their performance, which is great.
Do you think it's got to be quite hard to sort of break out of that conservative mold? Or is that the nature of you? Sorry, is that the virtue of you being in England that allowed you to do that?
I think definitely me being in England was a huge factor. That, and I mean, like, you know, you go back to India a lot. You've seen it. Like, if you go into some of the music cafes, even in the big metros, like what we would consider as like sort of hard rock 80s, 90s is still a thing. You know, and there's a huge fan following for like rock music, but not like new age prog rock or anything, but like, you know, sort of soft rock or like, you know, metal as we knew it in the 90s. So there isn't, or I wouldn't say there isn't, but there's limited sort of contemporization of music in India, which means that actually, if you come from a classical background, like that is big for you to stay within.
Yeah.
Dig your roots really deep into. So I feel like me being here was a huge factor.
So what was the story? You were born in Bombay, right? And then you said
I was born just outside Calcutta in a place in a town called.
Really? Where did I get Bombay from then?
I mean, I lived in Bombay for a while.
Okay, right. That must be it then. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But and then I moved to London when I was 11, and then found the sarod.
Really? What, when you were here, and then you went back to Calcutta to train?
Yeah.
What the fuck, dude? That's proper yo-yo business. What?
Yeah. That's like, it's like, there is, like, sometimes I've wondered, like, that's just a complicated story to tell anyone. Like, maybe it's worth like simplifying, but actually that's how it happens, and that's how life happens. Like, there's never a straight road, right?
Yeah, it's always quite complex and a mess, right? That's the beauty of it. But so you came to London and discovered the sarod? I mean, I read something online that you played your grandmother's like instrument that was an old sort of proto version of a sarod. Was that here or in Cal?
That was here.
No way! That's such a mad story. What the fuck?
The first house that my parents lived in, and we all lived in, and I accidentally found my grandmother's sarod hidden away in some of the boxes that had come over from Mumbai.
Right.
And then I was wondering what this was. My dad actually knew how to play it. He had had some training. So he has a sort of, he had a job in the city, but he came back in the evening and he saw me like playing around with like, you know, something that his mom owned, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
Put that down.
Yeah. But and then that was it, that sparked your whole sort of interest?
Well, to be honest, I think I've noticed this now, that actually what was going on was that there was an 11-year-old boy who'd been basically told that he had to leave all his friends and his network of friends in India and his school and come to another country, and which had very little India in it at that time. You know, like
Where did you move to in like when you came here?
well, we were like moving around in flats and then settled. My parents had a place in Belsize Park.
Okay.
And so that was the family home. That's still the family home.
Right.
And and I mean, now there's a big, wide Indian community that we all, you know, were tapped into. But back then it was quite limited.
Mm.
And I definitely felt like I was missing the essence of like of Mumbai, of India,
Mm.
and how the sound of this instrument somehow had that. So immediately I was drawn to it.
That move must have fucked you up as well. Moving when you're 11 has got to be quite a lot because you're still growing, right? And you kind of, I guess you're kind of, it's like going for a jump, like off a ramp, and then suddenly the world changing. You don't know where the fuck you're gonna land. You're kind of like, ah.
I mean, exactly. That's what it was. But you know, I think all the things that sort of break you at that age also make you. And so many of us have stories of like moving country, or I don't know, separated parents, or you know, like these hard shifts that happen in those formative years. And I think at the time it feels like devastating, but I think later down the line you realize, I have like this wealth of experience and ability to do things and like train my brain to understand something that's really difficult, that maybe other people don't, and I can apply that to this situation or whatever.
Yeah, which just like, you know, the government's telling us to do now. You can adapt.
I mean, can we talk about that for a second?
Totally. Of course, we can talk about fucking anything, bruv.
Okay. So I was really shocked to hear that. I was really, really shocked to hear that. And I'll tell you why. On one hand, we all know that we have to adapt. And musicians have been adapting for the last century, if not more than that. We already do that. We've been, like, my whole career has been a series of adapting, you know.
We have a million jobs. We don't just do one thing. We do a million jobs, yeah.
Whether it's like, I mean, forget, before you even come to writing a note of music, there's fundraising, there's copywriting, there's network building, there's, arts council application writing, all kinds of things like this, you know? And then you come to like, you know, writing melodies, chords, production, electronic stuff, spending all your money on like gear or whatever, you know, like
all of that, yeah.
All of that, right. And that's all adapting, that's staying in touch with the times. And I just felt that the way he said it was so throwaway.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But the way he said it was so insensitive.
And, you know, I think that also the fact that we're kind of in a catch-22 position where venues still can't reopen, like legally can't reopen. There's no way we, you know, I did a fundraiser for a venue in Shoreditch, which is Village Underground, where, you know, they've implemented social distancing. It was actually, I think, the safest venue in Shoreditch because capacity went from 750 to 108, and the tables were spread out, table service only, full airflow. You know, music was at a certain level to prevent people talking loudly and all that kind of shit. Like really considered applications, but then have to shut at 10 arbitrarily. It's like, what do you expect? People are working within paradigms, but then they've just created a paradigm that's unworkable and then said, fuck you, we're not going to help you, which is kind of the more upsetting part, considering the economic benefit that music brings this country, you know, and live music and all those things.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
And I think that you're right. That, I mean, I remember talking to a relative of mine, like a distant relative ages ago. And she was like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I've got to form a company and I've got to hold all the IP and figure out how to pay everyone that I'm working with. And it's basically the same as any other small business, but I'm the product.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's even harder because you're the fucking product, right? And then as
as you're very well aware, like you've started presenting, you've started applying your skills everywhere you can, because we're adapting. That's exactly what you have to do. You know, you start doing things that are related to your passion of music, but branching out because you're adapting. And her response was, "Oh, I just thought you played music." I was like, I mean, you know, the sort of the effortlessness of the performance or the product is great because that's entertainment and escapism. But the shit that goes behind it is the same as any small business, if not more so, because you are the product.
Exactly. And like splitting your brain in order to be your own manager, your own producer, and then actually getting up and delivering, you know, like I often think of like, you know, top athletes, you know, they have trainers, you know, who put them through a series of, you know, like hard training, but there's to it. And there's a reason why on day one, you don't train like you train on day 365, right? So there's a methodical sort of sculpture to the training, and for us, we have to sort of apply that to ourselves, you know.
But also make it up as we go along.
Yeah, exactly, and keep doing it, and then we got to run the bloody race at the end of it.
100%, and then also balance that sort of huge self-confidence and crushing self-doubt that comes through all of that too.
I love it though. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I would do without it. I mean, we talk a lot about, you know, sort of this, the artist and anxiety, and it sort of like comes coupled with the job, really. Like it's you know, it comes with your with your annual salaries. Like, here's a bit of anxiety, or quite a lot of it. But actually, I don't know what else I would do. Like this, it gives me such a kick to, like, you know, find an idea that I'm really passionate about, find people that are really passionate about it too, and then work towards making something happen, whether it's whether it's an album or a tour series or a film production, whatever. Doesn't really matter what the end product is, but the process of creation and going through the constant ebb and flow of like self-doubt and realization, and eureka moment and something else, that exploration is, I mean, isn't it amazing?
It's basically, once there was nothing and then there is something, but that process itself is, you're right, it's exhilarating, but also it can be a head fuck, right? It can be kind of it can be, do you know what, actually, now you've mentioned that, you're making me think longingly back to all the shit that I went through on my last big project, and I'm like, fuck, I really missed that. So you're right, you're 100% right. It's that rush of having to do something that wasn't there before.
Yeah. I mean, you know, not every project is amazing, but like, you know, out of 10, you'd hope that 8 or 9 would be.
I mean, yeah, I think you'd hope all of them would be, but it'd be good if you got that 8 or 9 success rate for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a practicality attached to it. Like, you know that some you're doing for the passion, some you're doing because actually that's who you are, and you have to do it right now. You just have to get that thing out of you, like this baby, get it out of you. And some you do because you rent, and some you do because it makes your mum happy or something. I don't know.
Okay, what's the one thing? Okay, this must have happened to you then as well, because you started, you know, you went from being a musician and, you know, having this presence in the music world, and then you transitioned to doing more broadcasting work. And those 3 letters, as soon as I got on the BBC, made my mom just go, okay, he's doing something. She doesn't understand what I'm doing, but those 3 letters were like, okay, fine, there's doing something positive. Was that a sort of similar thing for you? It must have been when she saw you on the proms. That must have been fucking great for
her. Proms last year or this year?
When you were presenting for Anushka's thing.
Oh, when I was presented. Yeah, I don't know if she saw that. I think she did.
What?
I'm not sure.
What? There's no, really?
No. I think the first time, I think the first time she saw me on TV, I remember she was quite proud, and that was on Channel 4 for a series that actually my brother and I worked on together. It was called Tuning to You, and we that was a sort of series around India, exploring the underrepresented rural cultures of music in Karnataka, Nagaland, West Bengal, Rajasthan, near Paris, near Goa, and so many places. And I think she was just she was proud that she'd been able to somehow I think she felt she had helped me retain India within my life here, and she really has, and my parents have. So I think that came across in her face. And
that's really sweet.
Yeah, that was a nice.
That's another thing. Like the work, your brother is also, I think, is actually slightly more handsome than you are as well. I've got to say, because I've always thought you were beautiful. Well, but your brother's hot, dude. I'm like, yo, yeah, man. There's a pair of lookers right there.
Well, he's got like about 4 or 5 inches on top of me, so there's that.
You mean height-wise, right? I'm joking. But yeah. But yeah, how did you end up? I mean, like working with siblings can be quite difficult. Do you guys find it effortless? Because it's a videographer, right? There's a director, and he works in film, and his name's So Vid, right? And I was like, yeah, that's So Video. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Getting an uncle joke in there. But yeah, was it difficult working together, or was it quite easy?
Actually, it's always been, it's always worked. Like, I wish we'd fight more, but we don't. I genuinely do. I genuinely do think that I wish we'd just get into a bit more of a brawl like we used to when we were kids, but we don't. Like, we do see eye to eye on like the style and the aesthetic and the kind of stories that we want to tell. So yeah, it's a good thing, I guess.
Nice. And you're both incredible. Like I've said, like on, when I was posting about this whole chat, was like, thinking back to it, you've always been so calm every time I've met you, and very just good boy. You know what I mean? Just like, I'm very calm and whatever. But I just wanted to say, like, did you ever get angry?
I'll tell you what it is. No, it's boarding school. I realized this over lockdown, actually, that how many things I picked up from boarding school that apply to my life now, and I don't even know it. I see someone's got a thumbs up there. They also went to boarding school. But
there have been, so actually now you've reminded me, there's been a bunch of questions which I'm going to come back to on the chat. So everyone commenting, I will get to you, don't worry. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it taught me to do, and this was a good and a bad thing, was to have a really solid umbrella above me, regardless of how hard it was raining or snowing or pelting it down or whatever. And so that just meant that...
Sorry, was that through trauma at boarding school, or was that just through like the lessons you picked up there?
I mean, yeah, bullying was part of it.
Yeah.
I got bullied a lot. I was a really fat kid.
And you're brown, which helps.
And I was brown at a really white boarding school.
That'll do it. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know, like, thank God.
I just got to say, have you seen your body now, bruv? You're fucking cut. So good work.
I appreciate that. It's embarrassing me on.
I mean, it's true. But sorry, please continue. I just had to interject with objectifying your body. Please carry on.
So, yeah, like, I think there's a shield that I built up, and a lot of people do build up at boarding school, which allows you to just get on with it. You know, like after a night of, I don't know, traumatic incidents, you get up the next morning and you go to geography because you have to
get on with it. Yeah.
Like, you go and like learn about trigonometry or whatever, because that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so while that's a mechanism that protects you in the moment, and that's quite useful for various things now, it does teach you also to repress things, and you end up in a situation where you should be confronting something that's hard, but you've repressed it automatically.
Isn't that just the way of the brown person? That's kind of what we have to do.
Completely, and we do it so often, and we do it so well. You know, we do it so well. and we don't even know it. So this whole discussion that's come out over the last few years, I would say, and especially this year, you know, about voicing, like just being louder about, you know, and louder and prouder
of your shit, of what you,
yeah,
of what matters. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Is actually quite is a hard thing to do, because you have to, like, there's a there's like a volume switch quite deep down somewhere in all of us, especially brown people, which is, we've over the years we've been accustomed to, like, you know, it's between 1 and 2, you know, and you don't know how to like switch it on anymore, and you have to sort of dig your hands into like the back of your skin somewhere and find that thing, and really pick it up and know that it can be cranked up and it's okay.
Do you think that that's also generational? Because I think that the idea, I don't know whether it was the same for you, but the idea of growing up here and not rocking the boat, and like, you know, just keep your head down, do your work, and you'll be fine, instead of speaking up against whatever you choose to. Is that part of it as well for you?
Yeah, let me ask you that. What about you?
What do you mean? What?
Well, what about you? Same question to you.
I mean, fuck yeah, of course. Yeah, totally. I mean, 100%. The only reason that I'm as outspoken as I am, or body proud, or not give a fuck, was railing against that wall of just shut up and do what you're meant to do. 100%.
And do you think, like, over the last few years, things have changed? Or has time just caught up with the fight that you've been fighting for so long?
I think the tragedy that, I think that actually it's a never-ending cycle. I think that there was a point in like 2012 or 2010 maybe, on Radio 1, it was like, you know, Riz was doing really well, engineers were doing really well, foreign beggars were doing really well in their own fields. There wasn't a brown box for me and my contemporaries at that point. I was like, fuck, we've broken the glass ceiling. Amazing. And you know what? We hadn't, because there's a whole generation right behind us who are still stuck in that brown box, you know? So I think it's a perennial fucking battle that will never end. But there is slowly, like, we've just got to be, like, take any fucking little win as a victory, you know, any sort of progress. And I think there was another friend of ours, which I won't mention, but was massive in the 90s as well. And I don't know whether you were privy to this conversation, but anyway, they were just talking about how when they blew through into the mainstream, they were like, wicked, we've done it. You know, we're going to open the doorway for everyone else. And it really didn't. The struggles are exactly the same, you know?
I mean, the success of one person does shine a bright light on the community. That it, of course, it does. But how do you go from there to that light sort of digging a bit deeper down into not just sort of you know, like generalist comments and a hashtag on Twitter, but like actually conversations in schools where, you know, young brown kids can just share with their white kids, oh, here's some music that I actually kind of like, and say that in a that can be accepted, and not fear the repercussions of that.
Well, that's where people, I mean, that's kind of exactly what I mean, is that things like Goodness Gracious Me, or like I mentioned before, Foreign Beggars, or Riz's new film, it's like, here's something I like with a brown face.
Yeah.
And it's great, you know? And I think you're right. I think maybe it's a slow burn. Maybe people can get more inspired by seeing other people that look like them.
Have you seen Riz's new film?
I'm watching it at the BFI thingy screening thing next week.
Oh, amazing. I can't believe how good the trailer looks.
Which one? There's fucking 2 coming out.
Oh, I'm talking about the drummer.
The drummer one, The Sound of Metal.
Yeah.
That's coming out on Amazon like this year at some point. Hang on, let me just look it up. Hang on. There's another film he's done, which is basically, oh, what the fuck? You know that spoken word thing that he's done called Where Are You From? No, Where Are You Really From?
Yeah,
as a whole. So that's in a movie, and I've forgotten the fucking name of it as well. Hang on, let me just look up both of these, because I feel terrible not knowing our mates' movies. Riz, hang on a second, Ahmed. So Mogul Mowgli is the film as part of the BFI festival. says Anushka's just jumped in, but misspelled Mowgli. Yeah, there you go.
Anushka Shankar, everybody. Can't spell.
Anushka, we were just talking about all your parties.
Anushka, the most amazing parties. So you want to invite everyone to the next one?
Dude, were you at the one where I had to play after a chemical brother and I fucked it?
Yes.
I was so shit, and I was just like, yeah, okay, here's Anushka Shankar playing live, and a chemical brother, and then me. I was like, what the fuck? Now, how can I match up to that? Kidding me? Rubbish. But Sound of Metal, we're going to just get the Sound of Metal thing up. So Sound of Metal is due out on Amazon in, oh wait, 20th, November 20th.
Okay.
No, sorry, theatrically November 20th, and on Prime Video on December 4th.
Okay, amazing. Everyone catch those dates.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should do a party together, everyone.
Do you know what? That'd be an online watch party. Would be pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
We tried doing that for this film that I'm in, embarrassingly, called What Are the Odds? Yeah.
Which one?
It's on Netflix, and it's called What Are the Odds? And I play a British band manager. Yeah, it's actually brilliant. It's an Indian version of, I guess, Ferris Bueller's Day Off meets who's the director that does all this kind of parallel imagery? The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh, yeah. Someone help us
Wes
out.
Anderson.
Wes Anderson, yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, Anushka's right. I play myself, basically. I play a British band manager.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's on Netflix right now. It's really embarrassing. My first scene, I don't because I'm so fucking ignorant. You know, Obey Diol is like this big actor, apparently. And he is the lead. And I didn't know who the fuck he was because I'm ignorant. And Monica was in the scene too. So Monica Dogra was in the scene too. So it was like a bunch of mates. Hey, Boven's here. Easy. And in the first scene, I walked in and it was a birthday party. And he's the lead singer of the band and I'm the manager. And so I walked in, I was like, what would I do to anyone that I work with, like Boven or Decode or whoever? If it was their birthday, I'd go grab their face and lick it. And that's what I did. Take after take after take.
I don't even know what to say.
And the note back from him was like, can you please use less saliva? It was quite funny. It's quite funny.
Did he say that to you, or
it was a note via Monica to me? It was so funny.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but we're all cool now. It's fine, you know.
What about authenticity? Like
that is as authentic as you can fucking get.
Exactly.
But dude, talking about films, you've done like at least three film scores, right?
I've done more than that. 3 features, yeah.
So I just want to say, no, I've done more than that, but yes, huh?
I've done more, but I won't talk about them now.
Huh? But you did okay. So what's the big soundtrack that you've done, or big soundtracks that you've done?
Well, there was a film called Life Goes On, which I did, which had Sharmila Tagore and Om Puri, one of Om Puri's last films, actually.
Wow. What's that called?
Life Goes On. There was this crazy film called Gangs of Tooting Broadway, which was like a gang, like London gang shootout film.
Isn't that Nitin's neighborhood?
Tooting Broadway?
Tooting is Nitin's neighborhood, isn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah. Was that years ago?
South London.
And UK Apache, actually.
Yeah. That I think, yeah, you're right.
Gangs of Tooting Broadway. That sounds awesome.
But then since then, I've been actually I've done a bunch of short films. I've really got into short films. I think there's a real beauty of telling a story in 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 7 minutes. And actually, I did a few of my brother's short films. There's one.
I was going to say it's not nepotistic at all, no.
No, and obviously he gets them for free. So.
Well, that's why. Okay.
So there's a film that I really love. Yeah, it's one of his works I really love, and it's called Gladiator Wheels.
Gladiator what?
Gladiators Wheels.
Gladiators on Wheels.
Yeah, check it out if you guys haven't seen it. It's about, you know, in India, in the fairs, in the rural fairs, you have this thing called the Wheel of Death, which is you know,
They go round and round and round and round and round.
Yeah, and the audience stands on the top, and these cars and motorcyclists go round and round and round, like defying gravity. So they're gladiators on wheels. And he made a short sort of 5-minute film, which he shot in a day, which was about their plight, their story, their trauma, what it takes to do that day after day after day. And he, daredevil that he is, got into the car to take various shots. And so
whoa,
as you're watching the film, you feel like what it is to actually not just watch it from the outside, but be inside this vehicle that's defying gravity.
That's insane.
Yeah.
He must have got out the car and puked immediately.
You know,
like, what the fuck? That's just
I think he did.
That's nuts.
But yeah, more than that, I think there's something about sort of stories about people whose voices which is just getting more and more interested. You know, like stories from the periphery of like the world we know. When I was at university, there was a phrase that was thrown around called subaltern studies, and it just came back to me because it was like, that's exactly what it is. Like we've now, I feel like there is a growing culture of celebrating the alternative stories that basically we didn't hear in the 90s or even in the early 2000s. And that's powerful, I think.
Yeah. I think that's also part of the nature of it. Like, you know, that the idea of, I guess, really, really, really unique content and sort of telling unique stories, because everyone's heard everything else already a billion fucking times in various combinations.
Yeah.
That even sort of, you know, blockbusters have to consider nuance and subtlety and different, you know, little small intricacies in their storytelling.
Yeah. You know, Anurag Kashyap, for example, like most of us probably in our circuits love his work, but you know, he must have had to struggle so hard to, like, you know, against the grain to make this, you know, a norm now. And we're just talking about cinema. We haven't got to like music, you know.
Oh fuck. Yeah. Well, I think actually, I read that you did the soundtrack to Brick Lane as well, right?
I did work on parts of it, yeah.
Right. And I think that's the other thing about doing soundtrack work that I found was, you know, we were talking about you know, essentially being a musician or working in music, you're the fucking product and you have to do everything else as well. But the thing that I found liberating is when you're not top lining something and you're just doing stuff behind the scenes, it can take the pressure off a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you feel that too?
When you're doing stuff behind the scenes, yes, absolutely. I mean, the role...
When it's not your name front and center, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, basically, like that role of an EP, an exec producer, when you bring that to a musical context, it's someone who can sit behind the main lead and sort of help guide the direction, and sort of and coming back to again that analogy of the sportsman and the manager.
You could be the trainer,
can be the trainer, and for so long that didn't really exist in our culture that way. So I mean, yeah, I'm encouraged to see more of that.
Yeah, it's really nice to see that in our peer groups as well, where people can use each other as sounding boards.
Yeah,
and you get like that honest feedback rather than any kind of sycophantic feedback, which I think is really fucking valuable, because everyone can say like, oh, that's really nice, or that's really good, but it's not really helping you progress and get better. And I'm thankful for that a lot, where you've got like honest critical feedback. That's just great.
I feel like we're really lucky, like at least in London or in the UK, like, you know, between the small group that we have, like, I feel like I can reach out to quite a few people, share tunes before I release them, or share even like the scratch of an idea, just to get a little bit of feedback and see, is this actually doing what I think it's doing.
Well, in fact, going on about, you mentioned uni before as well. There's a chap called Sid in the comments that was talking about a Berkeley music course.
Okay.
Did you do that?
Did I do a Berkeley music course?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so I don't know what he was talking about. Sorry, Sid. I thought there was. I thought there was someone that knew about you and wanted some advice on the music. What did you study at uni?
I studied English literature, and then I studied composition. At Trinity College of Music.
That's sick. That's awesome. Did that aid you in your career moving forward, or not really?
It was no, it did. It did. It was. I mean, more than anything else, I learned to some extent. To some extent, I learned about electronic production. To some extent, I learned about like theory and counterpoint and stuff like this. But actually, what I got out of it was understanding collaborations. Because at university, and especially at a master's level, with all these other composers working in very different ways, there was this great culture at Trinity, which is now called Trinity Laban, of course, I should say that, where there was a lot of, sort of crisscrossing between artists and composers, people feeding back to each other and listening to, the work of your peers and giving them honest feedback, collaborating together without any sort of, what is my songwriting points on this thing, or like, what is my...
I was going to say, did you guys get into the legalities of it as well and sort of work out how to negotiate splits and shit like that?
I have to say, that's the one thing I didn't learn.
Really?
They didn't teach you. Like, that's something that they don't cover that much of at, certainly they didn't, when I was there. So that was what's the word? A nasty shock when you came out and you're like, how does this stuff work?
It's a bit like growing up in England and then sort of like, no one teaches you how to fucking, like, basic economics is how to pay bills and how much shit costs. It's just like, why isn't this taught in fucking schools?
Right, exactly.
Just basic shit. It's just like, why the fuck isn't budgeting taught in schools? Like how to run your house, how to pay for food.
That was so useful. So
Anushka's saying, did you and Manu meet at Trinity or later? I don't know, Manu went to Trinity as well.
Yes, Manu also went to Trinity, but I think he went a year later. He joined...
See, both of you are handsome bastards as well. It's just ridiculous. You and Manu would just be too much hotness together. The world would implode.
I don't know what to do with these statements of yours. I don't know what to put them.
It's just fact, bruv. Well, look, as a question that's more music related as opposed to objectifying you and Manu, the Lost Strings wanted some scoring advice.
Scoring advice?
Yeah, and I'm trying to scroll up and see. You touch on... I don't know what the actual question is here. Yeah, the Lost Strings. Do you have a question? Would love to speak to you about scoring a film. I'm just getting started. I think we need a more specific question, so stick it in the comments there.
Scoring films is great. Like, I think, you'd probably need a more specific question. But for me, why I love it is that it's an opportunity for the sound to reflect the, something that's very deep within the story. Something that's not even said, maybe. It might be like just the feeling of, or something that the director wants to bring across, but it is not even like a tangible thing, and I think music allows you to actually manifest that in a way that other things might not.
It's that emotional hook, right? You can kind of trigger emotions using certain notation, right? And that's kind of what it is. You're complementing that emotional trigger.
Exactly. I mean, so for example, I did one score recently, which was was basically an action thriller film, but they wanted like a very emotional piano sort of line, um, and it was because the lead character, it was meant to be the psychological landscape of the lead character, who's going through this sort of action thriller story, but he wanted the music to be like, to make the audience feel like, the viewer feel like you were in her head, and so the whole film feels like you're in her head, which is an emotional space, which is the sad space. And so it worked so well to be able to do that and not do the sort of the obvious thing of, you know, going down the action thriller score.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen Tenet yet?
I have.
Oh man, that score is fucking incredible.
Tenet,
what did you think of it?
Tenet. So I'm a big fan. I'm a big Nolan fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of us are. Sorry about that.
The ghost in the machine saying hello.
What are they playing? More Than Words, Extreme. Good song.
What the fuck? That was queued up. Is that what you're gonna do after this call? Is just sing your heart out to More Than Words, weeping?
But coming back to Tenet, yeah. So, you know, the Dark Knight trilogy. What were the other ones? I've forgotten.
Inception, Prestige, which I think is amazing because Bowie's playing fucking Nikola Tesla. It's like you can't really fuck with that casting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Interstellar. I mean, legendary filmmaking and music.
I feel a butt is coming along.
I mean, the butt is about Tenet.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's it. It might be one of the things.
They said no spoilers, please, in the comments. Okay, fine.
It might be just one of the things that happens to great creative minds. That, you know, obviously there's a progression. You can see a clear progression, and this theme about time, this theme about sort of very complex plot, multiple characters, you know, like weaving through each other, and also filmmaking as cinema going as an experience. It's more than just a movie. The whole thing is this like visceral experience that you feel, actually.
It's a lot, yeah.
And Tenet just takes it to like a level that I wasn't comfortable with.
Yeah.
I felt like my liver was about to pop, or something. One of my organs was about to explode. Like the volume of things, the sort of the style that we've grown to accept and celebrate him for, is like this muffled dialogue under beating, like very powerful pulsing music.
Yeah.
We love it, but then
that's,
this one,
yeah.
oh my God.
See, that's the thing, is that I had to see it again, but then I appreciate the sound design, the score,
Oh,
way more. Sorry,
Anushka,
bro. What did you say? Oh, Anushka was high as a kite after seeing it, and she's sober, dude. So yeah, it was a complete head fuck for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think, you know. Okay, so there's like the sound design of the sort of the, how do I describe it? The Foley, right? So the Foley and the sound effects and stuff was so in your face, but the score somehow just melded with it in a way that I haven't heard before. Which I was quite impressed about. So listening to the score, and when it repeated, there's one, my favorite track on the score is called Freeport. And at the height, the points of tension, I'm really down for the arpeggiators and the synthesis that's within it. I'm just like, that is awesome. Because applying synthesis to, and Ludwig Göransson does this so well in like Black Panther, Mandalorian. It's the same guy that did all those things. And wedding electronics in with a score is really hard not to sound shit. You know, but it's so well put together that's probably why I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, but for me, I probably miss Zimmer. That's what. There was a real emotion in all the Hans Zimmer scores. There's a heart. You know that story about how they, you know, the theme of Interstellar, how they got that, which was basically, I think this is common knowledge, that Chris Nolan went to Hans Zimmer and said, "Look, I'm making a film about a father and a daughter. So can you write me like a theme around a father-daughter relationship?" And he did. And then he told him, "Oh, it's also about like wormholes and time, space, this and that." And
Right.
But then by then it was too late. He had already distilled the theme, which was that beautiful, beautiful line in Interstellar that is throughout the film. You know, dun, 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 dun. You know, it's like this like piano line.
I thought it was organ. No, it was an organ.
I mean, yeah. So like, obviously, the instrumentation after that, it had to become epic. It had to become like, you know, huge. But at the heart of it is that very, very delicate and emotional line that he got from Hans Zimmer by telling him like the heart of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything else.
Whereas with Tenet, you don't know what. Well, I won't give it away. Let's talk about this offline with people that haven't seen it.
Yeah, okay.
There's a lot to discuss. Well, I hear what you're saying. There's definitely, I think maybe it was the whole, like the sound design and the pushing of the more contemporization of a score is what excited me, I think.
Yeah, it is exciting. It is exciting, but it did give me a headache. And then, I was able to recover from that headache quite swiftly on in the days after, because then I went to the Royal Albert Hall and I heard Anushka play. So
that was fucking spectacular.
Can we just talk about how amazing?
That was amazing. I mean, like, I know that there was like it was recorded as live, so I guess there was a break in between as well, right? The two concerts you did.
I'm not sure I'm allowed to confirm that or deny that or what.
Okay, I'll shut the fuck up then. But anyway, so I mean, like, you were like, I tried to blag it in to the Albert Hall to see that gig. Obviously, I was like, look, I'll carry your fucking spare sitar strings. I'll carry water. Like, I'll just be your roadie, you know, whatever. It's like, no, COVID restrictions are heavily in place. And was that the same for you in terms of you were in that box with Josie, right? Like,
yeah.
Were you like miles away?
I mean,
or could you stand in the auditorium and watch?
Yeah, once the concert was going on, I could sort of move around and watch it from wherever, which is great. But I think, you know, there were a couple of things going on. One, it's exquisite music. It's really beautiful. The whole concert, like the first half is so different to the second half. I think it's still up, right, on iPlayer.
I'll check.
It might be.
I don't think it was. So I was trying to like rip the audio because it was so fucking good, and I think I've only found the audio.
Okay, I don't know, but it was absolutely like both halves were very different, but so beautiful. So if you haven't heard it, please go hear it. But on top of that, it was the first live gig that I had been to since February or something. And it wasn't just like a little intimate thing at, I don't know, Camden Jazz House, Jazz Cafe or something. You know, it was at the Albert Hall. Just like...
Anushka, we were talking about you idiot. She went to the loo. She's like, what am I talking about? We're talking about you and the proms.
Well, we're talking about you, probably.
Yeah. But yeah, the first gig at a major auditorium, and it must have been something.
I mean, I think I actually felt cells vibrating in that way that we know that music does. Like,
yeah.
Why we like going to concerts, why we like going to live events, because something physical, right? Like, someone recently told me that, those videos online with like bowls of water on top of speakers, and the sound makes them vibrate and create patterns.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, right?
Yeah.
We are what, like 90% water?
Of course, yeah.
So all that stuff must be happening inside us on a molecular level, right? So those patterns.
100%, yeah.
All of that. And when you hear like live music after so long that you haven't, you have heard it like on your, Bluetooth speakers and stuff at home, but it's not the same thing. Your body is vibrating. And that's when you feel like, okay, this is what we cannot lose. This thing, because it's not just notes on a score. It's not a tune on Spotify. It's a live chemical, physical feeling where your body is.
It's literally being manipulated and literally vibrating at a different it's responding to fucking input.
Exactly. It's, you know, the sarod and the sitar, these have the, you know, the sympathetic strings.
Okay.
But the idea of the sympathetic strings is that you tune them to the rag that you want to play.
Okay.
You play the rag and the sympathetic strings buzz and
right. It's like a chorus almost, like backing it up, or backing vocals essentially. Yeah.
Right. But actually, what it felt like was that we, like human beings, are the sympathetic strings to music. So when music plays, we resonate and music. So it's not just the players, it's the audience together. And this is why live music has to survive.
So I 100% agree with you. And there was this whole, there's an artist from Bangalore called Shiloh, and she does amazing sculpture. We had a chat with her. And one of her works, which has been ripped off by The Simpsons or whatever, is a metal tree which has two palms on it either side. So you and a friend of yours comes on, puts it there, and as your pulse, it measures your pulse and sends up a light on the tree. And what happens is that the pulses go in sync over time. And the idea is that, and this is backed up with neurological studies, is that apparently with proximity with an individual, heartbeats tend to synchronize. And so I was like, in musical events, in concerts, at football, at sporting events, when there's a mass of people all in the same direction for whatever purpose, they're going to sync up.
Yeah.
And so there's obviously a physiological and physical response to that main stimulus, which is, again, live music. So I think there's an interesting maybe we should apply for funding for that, where everyone in a venue has a heart monitor.
Right. Yeah.
And see if they all synchronize. Huh.
If the heartbeats synchronize.
Yeah.
To like a single tempo.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's like somewhere in the region, it would be amazing.
Fuck, we should totally do that. You're the Arts Council fucking application expert. We should totally do that.
Yeah, actually, that's a really. Let's get on a call separately and discuss.
Yeah, totally. That's a fucking great idea. But I don't know how to make it not look nerdy. Because I was thinking about like a light bulb on someone's head that would flash with a pulse. But that would just look daft.
No, you'd need like those, what's it called? The Muse bands that measure your heart rate and various other things or whatever, I don't know. All kinds of things. Wearable tech.
But it has to look cool
though. Glow in the dark wearable tech.
Yeah, that flashes with your pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about this shit. This is awesome. I like this. We could totally do this. Because I was thinking, and I think that, I also feel that you're totally fucking rubbing it in that you went to a concert and none of us fucking can, you bastard.
I went to the concert. I went to the concert.
Thank you for that. Really appreciate
I wish
that.
you were there, mate. I wish you.
Dude, fuck off. Dude, actually, you know what? The last, not Apple Watches, Anushka. No, something cooler than that. Like, it has to be, no. Not smartwatches. It has to be something way cooler. But the last concert that I went to, she played in a pub with me. And I wish you were there for that.
Oh. When was that?
So it was her, Nikita Gill, Riz, and Shruti Hassan.
Okay.
Which was just awesome. But it was in an East London pub. And then the whole world locked down the very week after.
Was that just before? Oh, right. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was messed up. But you win. I'd rather been at the proms, to be honest with you. Are you doing anything soon? Like any sort of streaming gigs or anything like that online? Or anything live, in fact, for that matter?
I'm not doing anything live. Well, oh, no, that's... Well, Anushka and I are supposed to go to Germany at some point. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Hamburg. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you been announced? Yeah, you have been announced. It's public knowledge now.
Are you coming?
No, it's just the way I walk.
It's just the way you walk.
Yeah, am I coming? No. So I'm still trying to work that out, basically. I might be there. We'll see. Touch wood. Inshallah, I'll be there.
Touch wood. I mean, yeah. every day the news is changing. It's so weird to like not know if you're going to play a gig like next month in a few weeks. It's so weird. Like,
Dude, we've got 6 seconds left on this call. Do you want to reconvene or do you have to go?
well, let's reconvene.
We're back. Well, I'm back. I don't know whether Soumik's going to join us. Yeah, he is. Hey. So, we ended on kind of an uncle joke, which was hilarious. But let's see how we'll start this side. I know Soumik's got a call like now, you reckon, so it might just be a quick one saying goodbye. For completion's sake. Hi, Kasaya. Yeah, I can't go live with you, I'm afraid. I'm waiting for Soumik to come back. Hi, Neha. How are you? Karthik, how's it going? Hi, Dhruv. Hi, Mogara. I know. I'm sorry. Is it Kasaya music? Yeah, Kasaya music. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've just got to wrap things up with Soumik and then make dinner. Yes. If Soumik's going to rejoin. Hang on. Is he coming back in? Is he coming back on? I'm just messaging him right now. Saya music. There you go. Ah, Soumik's here. There we go. And I will request.
Hola, hola.
Hello. How's it going?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just sending a message to you. There you go. And now you're right in front of me. But yeah, shit. So what? Look, this hour flew by. That's just nuts.
This absolutely flew by. We'll have to do it some other time again.
Yeah, totally. And you've got a call now, right? So you've got to go.
Yeah. I've got to go. But
Boo.
boo.
Boo. But look, bro. Right. So
Thanks
the
for
things we
having
have
me,
to plug
bro.
is Hamburg. So let's end on Hamburg. So Hamburg's November 4th to the 8th.
Yeah, there's an amazing festival that Anushka is curating called Reflector, and it's happening in Hamburg from the 4th to the 8th. Yeah.
You sound
And,
like my mom trying to teach me like a different language. From the 4th to the 8th.
4 तारीख से 8 तारीख.
There you go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Actually, that's it. 4 and 8 are like the one numbers that don't really change. Oh, hang on. There's a quick question here from Anushka. If there were no limitations, what would your next dream gig or album be? That's to you, bruv. You can answer.
I'm literally speechless. And this comes back to like, you know, that dial at the back of your spine that you have to like learn how to like move beyond to. It's so much like we've learned to not dream that big.
Right.
I mean, you can dream that big, but know that the dial will always be at 2, 2.5, 3. Sometimes it'll go to 4. So then when someone says, if there were no limitations, what would your 10 be? It's a big one. I don't know.
Oh, come on, fuck off. You must have one dream collaborator. One dream, like, out there. Like, for me, obviously, there was, like, it's Prince, right? But he's, like, my fear was that if I ever worked with him, he'd be a dick. So it would ruin my mental sort of idea of it. So for you, who would it be?
I mean, you know, honestly, I've sort of, like, stopped thinking of collaborations like that.
Okay.
Because, yes, you come out with some interesting music. You come out with some music that might have legacy and people will listen to it for centuries or whatever. Centuries, like, yeah.
Well, the world exists and we are still viable.
Yeah,
exactly. The viability.
But I think what I'm interested now in more is, can you make music that heals people truly in a proven way? And I think the answer to that is no right now. So I think if there were no limitations, I would find a way to make music that heals and heals all kinds of things, like everything, like pain, and not in an escapist kind of way, like actually physiologically somehow through what we.
I think it kind of does that though. You could. It's almost like if your brain was an emotional computer, music is kind of a program you'd load up, right?
It could do it like momentarily, or maybe you'd feel good for a week, or you'd feel good for a month while you're listening to that song all the time, or that
on repeat. Yeah,
on repeat. And that, I mean, you know, so these albums and these projects are like incredible windows into the potential of like something really, really, really great. And I feel like, yeah, if there was no limitations, then I'd be able to try and explore that.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
But meanwhile, let's all do a track together.
Yes, obviously that has to happen at some stage.
Yes.
I think we could just record one part each and then just throw it all and press play at the same time as a minimum.
Slap lots of reverb.
Yeah, reverb covers everything.
Reverb, backbeat. What else do you want in life?
Just a reverse splash before the drop. Fucking simple. Do you know what I mean? Well, big love, bro. And I will get in touch about that whole fucking that application idea. That's a cool little idea.
Cool. Yeah, let's do that.
Nice one, man. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Soumik, for joining me. And I'm going to continue drinking and then cook dinner.
Enjoy. Good night, everyone. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.